And again, for all of you who appreciate the production skills and songwriting skills of Rick James, I love the fact that he didn't always have to do Teddy Riley or Puffy, I gotta let my voice be heard on every single thing that I'm into. And that's not to say he didn't do that on occasion. But for the Mary Jane Girls, he really did look for the talent and pull them together as a girl group and just put them out there. You know, it was really their own career, their own sort of image, and just fun music, fun 80s music. So hopefully that was a nice trip back down memory lane for those of you who are of a certain age, like us, not Taylor. Or an introduction for those of you who are younger and are like, Mary Jane Girls, now I need to look them up. We hope you do, and just enjoy that kind of connection to our R&B and soul history. This is Stephanie Renee welcoming you back to today's Mojo. It is the 11 o'clock hour, which means Mike Dennis, as you see, if you are logged onto Facebook Live, hi y'all.
Hey, Facebook Live.
Are in the house, and today's edition of Reelblack Radio.
Yes, hey Stephanie Renee. Hey, Sydney. I heard you on the radio. Congratulations on your fellowship.
That's right. Fellowships are great.
Yes, so you get paid to learn and all that stuff. And, I believe that children are the future. So,
wait,
if we teach them well.
Did he also toss out that line when he was talking about being tired of being black?
What was I? Oh, well, if you're taught well, you'll lead the way. So,
well,
and shout out. Shout out to the crew and the Greater Philadelphia Film Office. Was able to bring a group of young people to the set of Untouchable this week.
Nice.
And they had a great time. They met Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston and talked to the directors and stuff. And I learned some stuff too. So, it's all about paying it forward. So
yes, indeed.
So, and
I'm glad that you're no longer tired of being black, because in case you didn't hear earlier in the program, we had a mac and cheese cook-off.
Oh, wow.
Here earlier today, and so there are big pans of mac and cheese that exist right. in the building.
Well, see, that's the cost of being black, right? Clogged arteries. So, I get
He really did just go there.
Look. Go home. I enjoy that. I enjoy mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese is wonderful. You can't eat it every day, but mac and cheese is wonderful. And
yeah,
so you can get a little
I told you
scoop.
the story when you go to the African American Museum in D.C. They have all the food set up for the different quadrants of the country.
Yes.
So they have mac and cheese. It's not. It's like everybody in there's like, this ain't no mac and cheese. Like everybody in the museum is like, I know somebody can make some better mac and cheese than this. Like,
I've heard the greens are really good though.
Everything's good, but the mac and cheese, I don't know. It's just like subpar. I don't know. I mean, like and they charge a lot, and everybody's like eating and like looking like, nah.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
So you might want to bring some hot sauce in there with you or something.
And so he didn't even realize he was tying back into my whole conversation earlier today. No, I keep a bottle of hot sauce on my desk. So, when everybody was joking about Beyonce with hot sauce in her bag swag, I have hot sauce on my desk swag. Okay. And people use it for...
So that's a great gift idea. Get you a hot sauce sampler. All right. So, this is a jam-packed show. So, and I didn't expect this is like a coming of age show. Like all the films that we talk about today relate to coming of age of women.
Yes.
Specifically. So, with us on the line, we have Ayoka CHENZIRA, who is a Philly native and a pioneer in this genre of black coming of age films. With the movie Alma's Rainbow, which was released in 1994. So we're coming up on an anniversary for it.
Wonderful.
But it's just been officially released on DVD for the first time as part of a box set of her early work. So just with us on the line, Ayoka CHENZIRA.
Good morning, Ayoka. Welcome to WURD.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I got the wrong person. SYDNEY FREELAND. I'm sorry. I'm super retarded. All right, starting over. Oh. SYDNEY FREELAND has an awesome movie called Deidra and Laney Rob a Train, which is on Netflix. And Taylor, you will love this movie because it's about two teenage kids who rob a train. As you tell us, it was at Sundance this year, and it's on Netflix now.
I got busted. Like, why specifically Taylor though?
Because it's young people. It's young. SYDNEY, please save me. Sydney, save me.
Well, good morning, Sydney.
Good morning.
I got busted today. All right, my bad. Hey, Sydney, I'm super excited. I love your movie, by the way. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And
Thanks.
and just tell people about why Taylor would like this movie.
Yeah, it's got teenage girls robbing trains. I mean, that was when I first read the script, I thought that was like an amazing premise, and I said, well, I want to know more about this. I read the script, and it was funny. You know, it's a dark comedy, kind of in the vein of, like, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, Raising Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
or kind of like Juno. You know, it's got some. It's funny, but it's dark. You know, that's what I really like about it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and the script is great. First off, the story, I mean, it keeps you moving, but then the cast, you've got some amazing folks in there. A lot of them I've never seen before.
Yeah, so the script is written by Shelby Farrell, and I first read the script in August of, like, 2014, and I met with her, and we talked about it. And I think we had a lot of the same sensibilities in terms of, like, humor and tone and comedy, and the story that we wanted to tell. You know, I think, like, one of the first things that I really realized we had a connection was basically, like, I found out that I grew up in a neighborhood next to train tracks in New Mexico, and she grew up in a neighborhood next to train tracks in Memphis, Tennessee. And it was this weird thing where it's like we had, like, almost parallel experiences growing up, but we had never met before.
Yeah.
And so we paired up, and we went out, we shopped it around, and Netflix picked up the film. They financed the whole film up front, and then, you know, once we had the financing in place, we hired a casting director, and he was really sort of instrumental. Our casting director, Matthew LaSalle, you know, he was really instrumental in getting us this, like, really great, huge cast, you know, with all these different, like, you know, in my opinion, like, fantastic actors.
I was going to say, well, talk us a little bit through that process, because, you know, Netflix has become, you know, one of our most prolific now producers of original content. And a lot of people are, you know, still think of Hollywood or still think of the movie making process in terms of the idea of treatment, shop it to the studios and what have you. And the idea of how Netflix has become such a major player in this process may be something that our listeners are not as familiar with.
Yeah, they're certainly, Netflix is certainly, they have a lot of influence. You know, and I think in terms of, like, with this film, there were some things that were, you know, almost like stereotypical. Like, you went into the boardroom, and then you, like, there were some executives at the end of the table, and then you pitched to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then there were other parts of this that were, you know, completely foreign to, you know, a sort of an average filmmaking experience. You know, like, for instance, you know, Netflix was very hands-off. You know, I probably had 4 or 5 interactions with our Netflix executives during the entire prep to post of the film.
Ah.
You know, I remember, I think I saw this may not be right, but I remember the only time we saw them in person, I saw our executives in person were in the pitch room and then at the premiere at Sundance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were extremely hands off, and they gave us a lot of creative freedom. You know.
No, well, I mean, speaking to you mentioned word stereotypes. This movie seems to shatter them, and I thought it was very interesting. Your background, you're Native American, right? So you grew up on the reservation. I just feel like the way you cast the movie, it's kind of multicultural, but you have 2 black female leads. But it just avoids every sort of cliche, I think. I mean, was that intentional? Was that in the script, or was that something that you brought to it? Or?
Well, first of all, thank you. That means a lot. You know, I think, you know, like, again, if we're talking about the Netflix, you know, giving us this creative freedom, is like they gave us, actually, to be very honest, they sort of pushed us to have a diverse cast. Mm-hmm. Which for me was you know, I was a little sort of taken aback by that, you know, because like you said, I'm Native American. I'm Navajo. I grew up on the Navajo reservation in New Mexico. And my first feature film, Drunktown's Finest, was 100% Native American cast, or largely Native American cast. And the movie was so hard to get made, specifically because it was like Native American, you know. And on paper, investors would say, well, there isn't a market for it. And so we'd go in and pitch the film, and it was like so hard to get made. And then we went in here with Deidra and Laney, and the producers are like, I think we can make it more diverse. I was like, what? What is going on right now? But basically, I think one thing that I really wanted to do is I wanted to have, I come from a mixed race background myself. My father is Navajo, my mother is Scottish, and I don't really see that a lot on film. Just like people who are either mixed race or diverse, and they're just being like for me growing up, like I wasn't sitting around with my friends talking about like, oh, what does it mean to be like Native American or like half Native American or and you just go out and you're trying to get by in high school. It's like who's dating who, who's going to the game on Saturday, it's stuff like that. And so I really wanted to have these two leads that had, they were diverse, but they were just sort of being in the world, and it wasn't something that we needed. They were just, they were who they were,
Right. Well, I mean, they start off, they're outsiders, and then, their mother gets arrested and they have to survive for themselves. But ultimately, it's such an uplifting message, and it's just done with such energy. I mean, I just stayed. I mean, like a lot of times I'll watch a Netflix movie and I'll be like putting on like pause. Like I'll be like pause. Like, take me like 3 or 4 days to get through something. This one had me hooked from the beginning, and I was just entertained. I was like, I just want everybody to see this movie. That's why I reached out. I'm so glad that you're able to. Calling.
Awesome. That's cool.
Indeed. I mean, and your experience being able to tell your stories and live your life is so incredibly important, because for those of us, particularly who live on the East Coast, the whole idea of what your experience would be like growing up on a reservation, growing up in New Mexico in general, and representing for, the diversity that is you in your person, is not something that we come in contact with very often. So I'm just glad that your voice is present and powerful in the industry, so that we can learn from, the idea that we don't have to turn to stereotypes, that we've got real, live, living in the flesh people that represent Native American culture and a way of storytelling and being that isn't necessarily familiar to those of us who are here on the other side of the country.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So, so what's next for you? I can't wait to see your next thing.
I've got so Shelby Farrell, the writer of Deidra and Laney, we've got a project that we're working on together. We have 2 projects that we're doing that are comedies. I've got a sci-fi project that I'm writing right now.
Nice.
A grounded sci-fi project like Arrival. And then I'm also working with 2 writers on a pick about the Stonewall riots in New York.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
So a little bit of comedy, a little bit of seriousness, a little bit of sci-fi.
And I failed to mention Sydney's an Emmy nominee.
Beautiful.
For a web series. Can you share about that? Because I know people will go right to that.
Yeah. So it's the web series is Her Story. It's a YouTube web series that explores the dating lives of trans women and lesbian women in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And, it was nominated for an Emmy, which is insane because we sort of just made this, I didn't write the project. I came on as director, and we all sort of did this by the seat of our pants. And then the project kind of took on a life of its own. Like you mentioned, it got nominated for an Emmy in 2016. And then tomorrow it's actually going to be at the GLAAD Awards in Los Angeles.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Well, I was going to say, it's been a great year.
Oh, yeah, it's been a little crazy.
So would you say you have like a mission statement? I know like your Drunktown's Finest also had like a transgender character. I mean, is this like, how are you taking your career? Like things are moving very fast right now, and it seems like you're developing, but you're also getting opportunities from outside sources. I mean, like, what do you have a mission statement, or things that you're looking forward to being able to do, or things that you won't do? Or
I think for me, you know, I'm sort of really attracted to material that has either characters or stories that, you know, don't always get represented, or that sort of represent a sort of like a quote unquote extreme part of the society, you know, because so I'm Native American, but I'm also transgender, and on paper, you know, it's like on paper I'm like a minority. But like I don't feel that way, you know. Like, you know, if we were to go out and have coffee and, you know, and hang out, like, I'm not gonna, you know, that's not how I'm associating myself with the world.
Of course.
So, right. But I see a lot of times, like, you see portrayals of Native Americans, you see portrayals of, like, you know, the trans community or the LGBT community, or, you know.
Yeah, like it's some sort of curse, or woe is me, or it's like an issue. No.
Yeah, it always has to be, you know, tragic, or it has to be, you know, like, there has to be, you know, some sort of, like, it's either tragic or it's misrepresented, or, you know, something like that. And for me, I like projects that have these sort of extreme characters, because I like to kind of focus on the humanity of them.
Yes.
Because, like, for me, it's like, if I can focus on the humanity, then, like, hopefully people will be able to relate to it that aren't necessarily from that community. You know, like, for Deidra and Laney, you know, it was, you know, that's kind of what we wanted. These are these two low-income American girls, but we're kind of along the ride. We're kind of along on the ride with them.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And, you know, hopefully you're rooting for them and you want them to succeed, even though they're like, what they're doing is, like, you know, morally ambiguous. But that's how life is. You know, like,
yes.
Shelby growing up, it was like life is complicated. There are shades of gray to things. You know, sometimes you have to do what you have to do, and you know, I feel like this film was a great opportunity to kind of explore that.
No.
That's a beautiful thing. We'll keep representing however you see fit, and much continued success to you, you know, with all of your artistic projects. I'm very much looking forward to seeing everything, and knowing that we are celebrating diversity of story, diversity of experience in ways that are uplifting to everybody who's going to encounter your work.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. SYDNEY FREELAND, her movie Deidra and Laney Rob a Train is on Netflix now, and her story is on YouTube, and Drunktown's Finest you can find on your streaming services. It's like a pay-per-view kind of thing. So congratulations. Thanks for calling in, getting up early for us.
Indeed. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our next commercial break. When we come back,
I promised you, Ayoka will be
he's going to get it right
segment
this time. But we'll be back with more Reelblack Radio in just a moment.
Better Living, Better Health, LLC, located at 2901 West Girard Avenue on the second floor. The entrance is on 29th Street. Better Living, Better Health is a female-owned and operated medical equipment and supply company, accepting the following insurance providers: Medicare, Medicaid, any Blue Cross Blue Shield plans, AmeriHealth Administrators, Health Partner plans, and any PPO plans. For more information, call today, 215-232-0230 or 215-356-8215.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My water heater broke down.
Sorry, but your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover water heater breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my water heater?
I'm afraid not.
But his water heater could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus components of 20 other major home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-642-9759. Home insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-642-9759. That's 1-800-642-9759. 1-800-642-9759.
Just a reminder to download our 900 AM WURD app. It's free and available on your marketplace. Just search 900 AM WURD. And don't forget to tune into The Lounge, happening every night from 7 to 10, hosted by me, Keaton Nichols, right here on 900 AM and 900AMWURD.com.
This is Hannibal Lukumbe. You're listening to The Mojo with Stephanie Renee on 900 AM WURD.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Gerardo Fresina Cuban soul mix of Gregory Porter's 1960 What, putting a little ethnic flavor and bounce into your Friday. This is the TGIF edition of The Mojo and today's segment of Real Black Radio, because Mike Dennis is in the house.
Yes. All right, so coming of age. So we talked about Deidra and Laney rob a train.
Yes.
Now, so that's 2017, 1994. Our next guest released, like a pioneering work in terms of like women, black girl coming of age movies. Mm-hmm. Ayoka Chenzira is, like I said, a pioneering filmmaker. She's from Philly, native, and one of the first black women to direct a feature film in 35 millimeter, and it has just been re-released for the first time, or released for the first time on DVD as part of a box set that is exclusively available on her website. And with us on the line, Ayoka Chenzira. Hey.
Hello, Ayoka. Welcome.
Hey, how are you all in Philly?
Good morning. You're in Atlanta, right?
I am in Atlanta, where we have had a
massive fire
collapse on the highway.
Yes. Wow. I saw the inferno that ensued. Do you need to get back and forth on I-85 past the place where where all of that happened?
Luckily, I do not, and luckily, no one was hurt. But it's been declared a state of emergency. But so far, everyone is fine. Thanks for asking.
That's great. Well, I mean, we met, I guess, over a year and a half, 2 years ago, when you came to Philly to screen some of your work at Scribe. And I had a great time that night, but that was just like the tip of the iceberg. Like, I got the DVD, and I was like blown away. I mean, I'd seen Alma's Rainbow, but the other disc, the bonus disc, we'll talk about. But for folks who don't know, can you let people know about Alma's Rainbow?
Sure. So Alma's Rainbow, as you aptly described, Mike, is a coming-of-age story. And usually when people think of coming-of-age stories, they think that it's just for the younger person. But this is actually a coming-of-age story for both a mother and a daughter. A daughter, Rainbow, played by Gabrielle Platt, feels like she is in this constricted environment with her mother. They live in a very beautiful brownstone. The mother is kind of no-nonsense, straight and narrow, better to be smart than beautiful, and really refuses to try and understand where this teenage daughter is and what she's struggling with at this point in her life. But then it's a coming-of-age story for the mother, Alma, as well, because the mother realizes that she's also stuck in a particular place and needs to grow. So it is a coming-of-age awakening for both a mother and a daughter. And the mother is played by Kim Weston Moran, who is the daughter of Randy Weston.
Nice, nice. Well, you know, this process of being able to be a storyteller and also, you know, coming from Philadelphia and going out into the world of your professional development, you know, do you feel that there are any particular lessons that you kind of gleaned from your Philadelphia upbringing that inform the story that you tell, either in this film or the way you approach your work?
I think I approach my work because as a listener first. I grew up in my mother's beauty parlor in Philadelphia. I like to say that I have my degrees from NYU, Columbia, and Georgia Tech, but my first degree was actually in my mother's beauty parlor, where all kinds of women came when I was a young girl to get their hair did, and they, you know, they told stories. And so I learned at a very early age what women were thinking about, what they were struggling with, you know, and particularly at this time, you know, this is quite a long time ago. This is, you know, 50s, 60s. Black women were in a particular place in the society. And so I had a chance to really kind of sit on the floor and listen to real grown women's real life stories. And when I went off to college, I wasn't aware that other people had not had that experience.
Right.
So listening to black women talk seemed to be sort of a natural, interesting thing for me, but no one else in my class had that experience. And so I still take those Philadelphia women with me when I'm thinking about storytelling.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, hair runs through a lot of your work. So, I mean, Alma's Rainbow is the mother, Alma, is doing hair in the brownstone, so she's a hairdresser, and then I guess your signature piece, so to speak, is Hairpiece, which I mean still gets played to this day. Yes. I mean, it's like a pioneering short film in animation. I mean, for folks who've never seen Hairpiece, I mean, what are your memories, or what can you say about it in 2017?
So, Hairpiece is still shown around the world. It's in a lot of collections. The Whitney Museum of Art recently purchased a hairpiece for its collection.
Nice.
It's in Japan. It's in a lot of places, but I never let it get translated into another language. And it's because I want to make sure that we're all laughing at the same thing, and that's really important. That's really important to me. So, you know, this relationship that black people that we have with our hair, and I would include men in that, because hairpiece was inspired during a time when the jerry curl was very popular. And for those of your listeners who may not know what the jerry curl is, it was this process that you did to your hair to, you know, kind of straighten it, but keep the curl. But, you know, all the product required activation, and the activation was done via a shower cap to keep the heat in and to activate the product. And so, you know, when I was living in Brooklyn, New York, it was very common to see men and women walking down the street in daylight with shower caps on their heads at the bank, at the supermarket, children up at the gas station. I mean, this was just insane to me. And so Hairpiece comes first out of just being shocked by that phenomenon, but also realizing that there is a tremendous difference between the ritual of adornment and looking in the mirror and saying, someone has told me to hate what this looks like, so let me fix it.
Right.
So adornment and fixing are two different things. So hairpiece comes out of that.
Well, I love what you offered us, that, don't translate it because it needs to be understood within a particular language and cultural context that is conveyed by English. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of us are so used to now, when things go global, the idea that it's going to be, revoiced and reinterpreted so that it makes sense to the receiving culture and audience. But there's something to be said for the integrity of how it was written and how it was intended, that I hope our listening audience is taking away from what you just gave us with that.
Well, I think it's important. I'm mindful of when I was working in Brazil. I was working on a film for a couple of years in Brazil, and people kept referring to me as negra. Now, to my ear, negra sounds close to Negro, and I didn't want to be called Negro. To them, it was not considered an insult in any way. And so there's this kind of shifting in my mind that I had to do to connect with how they were understanding negra and how it resonated with me. And so, I continue to think about these things as I work internationally. So far, hairpiece is just in English and will stay that way.
And again, it's on this DVD set. And before that, it was very hard to get, very expensive. If basically only available to universities until now. But the thing that blew me away, I'm just discovering, because I don't know, this stuff just wasn't available very easily, was the Jota and the Boogie Spirit. Now, you haven't had a chance to see this yet, Steph, but this is it's like an epic, 30-minute animation from talking about.
It's 18 minutes.
18 minutes.
Probably feels much longer.
Yeah, but it's basically from the Boogie Spirit in that. Well, tell people. I don't spoil it for them. How would you describe it? This thing blew me away. In 18 minutes, you told the whole story of our freedom, our capture, our captivity, and then our liberation. Historically, I was like, wow.
So years ago, well, first let me respond to your first comment in terms of films not being available. So there are a number of films made by black directors all over the world that most people haven't seen. Unless you are a person who frequents film festivals or you spent a lot of time in Europe during a particular time, because most of our films were actually exhibited in Europe before they were exhibited in the U.S. And it's almost as though we had to go away and get the European seal of approval before they could be exhibited in the United States. And when they were exhibited, at this time, we're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, people are still doing work, directors are still doing work on actual film, not electronic video or digital video, but actual celluloid, which is very, very precious in some ways because it's so darn expensive. And so the distribution was in 16 millimeter or 35 millimeter, and it really is only institutions that could afford to buy it. We're really talking pre-home video. And so as the technology changes, you find directors able to distribute their work to a broader audience in recent years. And this is one of the values of always keeping up with technology. How can I push the technology to make something happen for me?
Right.
So in the case of the Jota and the Boogie Spirit, I had done I think it was a 14-country tour throughout Africa showing the works of African-American filmmakers. I primarily went to English-speaking countries, but there were areas that I went to where people did not speak English. But what I noticed was that whenever they had parties and I would be invited, we could talk to each other through dance and have the best time. And so there's still that connection that we have with Africans on the continent that is still very very visible and very vibrant and, just very present. And so Zajota and the Boogie Spirit comes out of that as a story. Learning, I was a dancer for many, many years. It's an art form that I still feel very connected with. But in researching Zajota and the Boogie Spirit, I learned even more about dance. So, that dance that we often see it on white sitcoms when there's a party in the office. It's that line dance where everyone lines up and holds each other at the waist, and they walk 1, 2, 3, bum, bum, dun, 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 dun. Well, that third step is actually the slaves kicking the chains out of the way because they were chained. They were chained by their ankles, and so when we see that dance, it's very celebratory. But the reality is, it's a slave dance where they're trying to get through a particular pathway, and they're moving that heavy chain out of the way.
Wow.
And so learning more about how our history is embedded in dance was very powerful for me, and also in another way, because dancers were always considered dumb. As an art form, oftentimes if you told people that you were a dancer, you wanted to be a dancer, they just assumed that you were not a bright person. And so I was really determined through Zajota to tell other aspects of the story so that we would value our own culture and what we bring to the table and not be embarrassed by it. It's a film that I particularly like for those reasons, but also it gave me a chance to experiment with technology, which I think is also one of my signatures. So Zajota is, it's done with drawings, paintings. There is two, not so much animators, but two men who were artists, Lang and Richard Barcliffe, who worked on this. Richard Barcliffe is in New York. He can draw you as fast as you can move.
Wow.
And Richard Lang, who I brought over from Ghana, could do all of the in-between drawings. So connect one movement to another. And then I was working on a third layer of animation, but at this time I'm also very interested in the new video technology. So we are using film, we're using video, and we're using new digital technologies as layers to bring that piece to the forefront. And I was fortunate in that there was a studio in New York that liked my work very much, and they got hold of a new camera. It wasn't on the market. It was a video camera that allowed you to shoot video frame by frame, which hadn't been done before.
Wow.
And so they allowed me to come in and shoot parts of the film as a way for them really to test the camera.
Nice.
So I was quite fortunate. So it's a very special piece on many levels.
So everybody, grab a copy of this. This is a great investment, and you sign every copy. It's a beautiful collection.
I do.
It's a beautiful collection. I mean, first and foremost, if you love black movies and you want to have just the historically important work, number one, definitely buy this at iomentary.com. Or if you just want to see a great coming of age story, about a young girl, it's something that it's still very rare. I highly recommend this. And this is just part one. Volume one, I guess we'll have to have you on again when volume 2 drops, right?
Well, there's two more films on volume one. One is MOTV, which is My Own TV, which is an immigrant story. And I think it's very timely that we look at not only what's happening in terms of immigrant culture in the U.S. today, but there are some things that have been going on for a very long time. This particular story is a love story between
It's fantastic. I mean, we're up against a break. That's the only issue. So, I mean, we'll have to have you back on and talk more, and then we'll hopefully we'll have an opportunity to show some of this work up here. I'll have to talk to you about that offline.
Indeed. Well, we thank you. We thank you for
you both
for taking your Philadelphia upbringing and sharing it with the world through all of your various experiences. And so you'll always have a home here at WURD to be able to come back and tell us more about all of the work that you're doing.
And
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I've posted the link on Twitter, Facebook, and on the Reelblack website. So order today. We want to see those numbers jump.
Excellent.
And Mike, thank you for your order.
Oh, of course.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we take our next commercial break. When we come back, we're talking to another Philly native, with new product coming out, and we'll wrap up today's edition of Reelblack Radio. So hang tight. We'll be right back with more news and information about film and TV after this.
In recognition of Women's History Month, Word Radio highlights dynamic women who shared their voices and their actions in the fight for social justice, civil rights, and human rights for women.
This Women's History Month vignette is brought to you by Ralston My Way, honoring Ruby Bridges, American activist and philanthropist. In 1960, Ruby was 6 years old when her parents responded to a request from the NAACP and volunteered her participation in the integration of the New Orleans school system, despite her father's hesitation. Soon after, Bridges was thrust into the national spotlight as the first black child to racially integrate an all-white elementary school in the South. Reactions to her presence and the idea of school desegregation stimulated protests that came with threats of violence. Bridges and her mother had to be escorted to the school by federal marshals because other officials in the area weren't willing to offer protection. Despite the racist backlash, Bridges and her family held firm, helping to pave the way for other students who would follow in her path. She still publicly speaks about her experience and now serves as chair of the Ruby Bridges Foundation, formed in 1999 with a mission to promote the values of tolerance, respect, and appreciation of all differences. She is the subject of the Lori McKenna song Ruby's Shoes and the 1998 made-for-TV movie Ruby Bridges.
This Women's History Month moment is brought to you by Ralston My Way, home care and a whole lot more for adults 55 and over. Learn more at ralstonmyway.org or call 215-525-5470.
Hi, I'm Hilary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
This is Hannibal Lukumbe. You're listening to The Mojo with Stephanie Renee on 900 AM WU.
From the album that I consider to be the all-time greatest Michael Jackson album, Off the Wall. Shout out to the late, great Rod Temperton for helping to give us that song. It's called Get on the Floor.
Yeah, and with Brothers Johnson on the bass and guitar, rhythm section. It's funny you play that. I just got a hold of the DVDs of the Jacksons variety show from '76. And that's I hadn't seen him since it came on. '76, '77. This is some crazy television.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time.
But Michael was so super talented. You just like he could do anything, and the variety format was fantastic because he's singing standards alongside, you know, I guess Sonny Bono and all
tap dancing. I mean, like that was a crazy time for him because he just got a chance to explore whatever the heck he wanted to do. He did either on the show or just as a part of, you know, his live performances.
Yeah, yeah. Michael Jackson's one of my heroes. You know, I think everybody's searching for a hero. You know, we need someone to look up to. And on the line with us is another one of my heroes.
Nice.
Jamal Hill, who's got a new movie.
I was trying to figure out how he was going to work this in, but you know.
Look, I want to talk more about Off the Wall.
Okay, good. You a youngin'. You don't know nothing about no Off the Wall.
Let me tell you something. I am bar none, maybe besides Charlie Mack, I'm the biggest Michael Jackson fan you'll ever meet.
Nice.
Go to my house. I have the Billie Jean jacket on my wall. The love, everything. It would actually freak you out if you've seen it. All the stuff I got.
Well, I was gonna say, so we'll do a leg shake together when you can come into the studio, Jamal.
Yeah, I need photos because Jamal, he's about the same age as Alfonso Ribeiro. So
you know, I got a funny story about that.
Okay.
So real fast, I auditioned for the Tap Dance Kid.
Did you?
In 1983 on Broadway, and it was between me and this kid named Alfonso Rivera.
Wow.
And he won out. Not to say that he was more talented than me. I came down with the bump.
Oh.
Real story, man. And yeah, it was just not my destiny. It was just not my destiny.
Yeah, you could have been in that Pepsi commercial.
Yeah. Jerry curl and all.
Everything. So then Alfonso, besides having the Will Smith connection, have the Michael Jackson connection.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, you know, well, I mean, I'm quite frankly, honestly, Jamal Hill, I'm tired of talking to you because like it seems like every week you got something
here, right?
I was at your red carpet movie. You know, you got so many things in the pipeline. But I mean, so tomorrow's a big day. I'm super excited. And congratulations. Deuces with Lorenz Tate and Megan Good. Yeah. Produced by Flavor Unit, Queen Latifah. Yeah. Directed by Jamal Hill.
Yeah.
On Netflix. Good, I'm gonna be up 3 a.m. so I can just be the first people to tweet it and give it the 5-star. So let people know, for those who don't.
How'd all this come to be?
So I did a movie again called Brotherly Love with Queen Latifah's company, Flavor Unit, starring Keke Palmer and Corey Hardrick and a host of other excellent talent. Then they approached me about doing a second film. And I really didn't have another film within the budget constraints where they like to be at between $1 and $2 million. So they had something in their pipeline called Tony's Story. And Tony's Story was a Meek Mill project. I read the project. I was pretty familiar with it because I worked with Meek before. And I told them that I could do this, but I wanted to do a different variation of it. You know, I didn't really want to revisit the whole Philly inner city crime thing again. So we brought the film to L.A., and I recast it, and I reassembled just the storyline, and I came up with a different idea, and it became Deuces. And, yeah, I think Lorenz and Megan are the perfect love story to drive the film. Lance Gross is also playing a major part as an undercover cop in the film. And, yeah, it all came together excellent.
I was going to say that's Eye Candy Central.
Mm-hmm. Rotimi's in this too, right?
Yeah, Rotimi is in this from Power. You have Rick Gonzalez. You may remember Rick from Coach Carter, a few other prominent films. And, yeah, excellent cast. Lala Anthony's in this. Had a chance to work with Anthony Smith, who plays Faith Evans, and Notorious. And, yeah, no, we were fortunate to get a whole bunch of people who beam on screen, you know.
No, it's a hot. I mean, to this day, I'm still every time I turn on my Netflix, I still get. You got to watch Brotherly Love. It's like I saw it. But it's like it still has the 5 stars, which is like insane to me. Like, you know, Get Out doesn't. Some guy came in and trolled Get Out. So I mean, this is gonna be another 5-star thing. I mean, they already showed it in New York, and people were like buzzing about it, like. They were like talking. I can't wait to see it myself. So,
there was a Harlem screening earlier this week, and it burned the theater now. So hopefully it does the same to your television set.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Now, are we doing anything special this weekend? I mean, I know you have a lot of Instagram and Twitter followers and whatnot.
Yeah, I wasn't originally going to do it because I'm in the middle of editing my Meek documentary for BET, but the demand would not allow me to go out this weekend without doing something. So what I did was I rented out Kia Graves' banquet hall and set up screens and speakers. And so Kia Graves' banquet hall in Darby, PA, we're going to do a screening / after party there tomorrow night, the night of the release. And yeah, come on out. And
now, is there a charge? There has to be, otherwise.
Yeah. It'd be overflowing. So we're gonna put a $10 cover at the door, which isn't much, less than what you would probably pay at the movie theater, and then you get to, watch the film and hang out afterwards and dance and possibly listen to a little bit of Michael Jackson. You never know.
Okay. All right. You can bust out your taps and moonwalk a little bit. I'll bribe the DJ to play like a whole half side of Off the Wall if it's gonna get you out there moving. Well, I can't wait. So I'll post the info, and I'm sure you have it on your Twitter. But I know you're running. You're so busy. Thank you so much for taking the time to.
Indeed, and keep representing Philadelphia well.
Hey, man, I'm gonna try my best.
Deuces on Netflix. So everybody needs a hero.
Everyone needs a hero, man. And it's funny, man. Mike was certainly mine. I don't know how we keep going back to Michael Jackson, but he was certainly my hero. The only thing I ever wanted to do was sing and dance until I saw Scarface. I seen Scarface, and I said, "Well, I got a new hobby.
Yeah,
so I want to be able to do that."
Fantastic.
Yeah. Indeed.
All right.
Yes, indeed. Well, continued success for you, and we'll all check out Deuces on Netflix this weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I didn't get a chance to watch this video that came out. Kendrick Lamar. I listened to the record, hot record. Yeah. You want to tell people about this?
Yeah, I think that it might have dropped sometime yesterday. But
sit down and stay humble.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar dropped a video for his song Humble, and I feel like it's along the lines of what we've seen Solange do with like Cranes in the Sky and A Seat at the Table, where and we've seen this from Kendrick before, I think, but so many shots are just like very symbolic and like visually evocative. Like he's also like sitting at a table a lot, and so it feels like kind of referential, and also like he's trying to get in the ring here that he's already been kind of in, but just like making really meaningful videos that like give you something to analyze.
Yeah, well, you know the game is people have definitely stepped up. You can't just be standing next to a car in an underpass now. You got to really bring something to your music videos. A little Uzi, but speaking of which, so if you want to be inspired, there are two things that are happening this weekend that
real quickly
highly recommend. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. at the African American Museum in Philadelphia. The African American Museum, along with Black Star, is showing once again a moving image, which played at Black Star last year, and the director and a few people will be there for a panel discussion afterwards. And then Sunday at the Barnes. I'm not sure what time. I think it's in the afternoon. It's a free event.
It'll be their first Sunday.
Yeah, Fridays are free at the Barnes, and
no, but they do first Sunday.
First Sundays, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, first come, first serve. Though.
First come, first serve. So they're showing. Maori Holmes from Black Star also is curating a series of films, short films that deal with migration, and one of the featured people is the filmmaker Darius Clark Monroe, who we know from Evolution of a Criminal.
Yes.
And so he's going to be there, and that information is on my Twitter and Instagram as well. So please check us out if you haven't already. Check out become a Reelblack member.
That's right.
And you can get discounts on cool shirts like this. You can't if you're on Facebook Live. It's getting long sleeve, but it's nice. And so. That's show business. But I think times are changing. People are being empowered. And we have two movies this week that I highly recommend, which are Alma's Rainbow on DVD and Deidra and Laney Robert Train. And then I guess in theaters, next week we'll have a lot to talk about because of the Fast and Furious movies coming. And also Slight. You're not
franchise
F.
that has
Gary
been
Craig.
going on a long time.
Yeah, I guess that people weren't born when the first one came out.
I'm just saying, it's a long-standing franchise. This is the 8th film. It's a lot. But we always appreciate you gave us a jam-packed edition of the program today. We want to thank everybody on Facebook Live that has been checking us out. That's all the time that we have for today. But get out, see something, do something this weekend that is culturally enriched and that definitely uplifts us. We've had so much coming at us here lately that it's always good to celebrate the positive aspects of our culture and the folks that are out here doing it and trying to tell stories that are rich and diverse for us.
Yeah, Deuces tomorrow, and then Rebel obviously on BET. And
yes,
just stay up with your TV if but get outside. Yeah,
indeed,
get out.
And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we take a quick break, and when we come back, we're ending our Facebook Live feed, but we will come back with more news and information here on this TGIF edition of The Mojo. Stay tuned.
The Overbrook Plaza Pharmacy, located 5610 Lancaster Avenue in the Overbrook Plaza